New OGs. The New OGs is a State Madison Entertainment production and is brought to you by Solar Masters. Look, Illinois is changing how people get their electricity, and Solar Masters is helping homeowners in Illinois take advantage of a program that lets them get solar power at no cost. If you're a single-family homeowner in the state of Illinois, you can lower your electric bill, raise the value of your home, and do something good for the environment without paying a single dollar out of your pocket to do so. In fact, Solar Masters can only work with you if they can save you money. Solar Masters is a Black-owned SunPower dealer, an American panel maker with over 30 years of solar experience, and for the end of 2020, they're also giving a $1,000 cash rebate to anyone who goes solar. They even have a referral program that pays out as much as $500 per referral. So head over to... Yes, sir. Yes, XL.
Let me make sure I got this right.
Yeah.
You telling these people
Yes.
that if they own a house,
If they own a home,
they could lower their electric bill.
lower their bill,
They could get $1,000 cash back.
$1,000 cash. Yes, out in the once it's installing $1,000.
If they refer somebody else that own a house and they get it too, they get another $500.
It's another $500. You don't even have to own a house. Like, if you don't own a house and you're first to buy, you also can get $500.
Get out of here. Man, that's better than Jones barbecue football. Because it's real.
See how real it is. Go to www.gosolarmasters.com and get in contact for a free consultation. Order for someone you know. We are also brought to you by People of Comedy. That is a network that we are on right now. Get over to People of Comedy on Facebook. See all the great shows that are offered there. Check in daily. They have new, fresh podcasts you can watch and listen to wherever you listen to pods. What is up, everybody? The full squad of co-hosts are in effect. What's going on? How you doing, Rob Hines?
Man, I am outstanding.
Yeah?
Outstanding. Yes. I realized that I have to be high to be on your show. And it's really
It doesn't hurt.
being high this early in the day.
It's smoke protocol, baby. Smoke protocol. You gotta be blazing some. Hey man, is that like a South Park version of you behind you?
Yes.
A South
Somebody
Park
sent me this.
Hines?
Yeah, somebody sent me that, and I was like, "Oh, this is dope. I think I'm gonna keep it."
I like it. Jealous, I want one.
As he sits in front of a giant gorilla that's supposed to be a representation of him.
I mean,
I got the barbershop from Coming to America 2 going on in the background because that's what this feels a lot more like, which I feel is like the inspiration to somebody was talking to me about. Someone saw the picture from and they're like, "Oh, is that from a barbershop movie?" And I was like, "No, this is Coming to America 2." And they're like, and I was like, actually, Coming to America, that barbershop scene is the inspiration for a lot of barbershop scenes.
It's such a real experience, man. Like, I remember the first time I started taking my son to like get a legit, like nice cut, you know what I'm saying? And we were trying to, his mother lives near Hyde Park, and I was trying to find some place, there's plenty of barbershops there. And we went in and did not know a single soul in the room. Less than 5 minutes, we were arguing about the NBA with like 6 other dudes, and we're like adamantly like into it. And it was such. I think this might even be an episode of Blackish to keep it 100. But the way it happened, I felt like it was like a sitcom episode. Like, because I was telling him before we went in, man, I was like, "Hey, man, this barbershop etiquette, you blah blah blah. You'll see, but just peep how people act and stuff." And it happened like right away. It was one of those moments where you as a father, you say some shit, then it happens, and you're like, "Yeah, he's gonna believe when I tell him shit."
The thing that I'm seeing that's amazing to me. Y'all getting an echo?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Okay, maybe it's gone now. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, we're good.
Okay. The thing is, like, it is a Black person being who he is amongst other Black men without having to be in competition. You ain't got to do shit. You just sit there and enjoy each other's company. And the thing is, the thing that takes it to the next level for me, I'm a big Eddie Murphy fan. Because every time you see somebody acting like they're gay, you watching somebody doing a ripoff of an Eddie Murphy bit. Anytime you see somebody, like there are other people who have made, like anytime you see somebody doing James Brown, nobody was talking about James Brown until Eddie Murphy did it. You know what I'm saying? And those barbershop scenes is prototypical Eddie Murphy. What they in essence do is the same thing he did in Dolomite, is that whenever you are in a quandary about your art, you always go to the wisdom of your ancestors. And that is consistent through all of his shit. Every one of them people is usually older than him, and they act accordingly. Look at all them characters.
Yeah. Even in their foolishness, right? Like in their foolish, like there's a lesson in the foolishness in the character as well, where it's like you see that they're, even when they're saying something that is a like a glistening of the reality or the truth behind something, there is also like an old traditional stereotype tied to it, right? They lock in on that, which is ridiculous.
Here's the thing that's wild is how long ago was the first Coming to America? That was like early 90s, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's almost 30 years, right?
Yeah.
And these cats in the barbershop, this is also some real black barbershop shit. White people, you don't believe it.
88 was
when
the
they
first
say
Coming to
black don't
America.
crack, it's for real. There are barbershops that you could have went in 30 years ago and the motherfuckers in the barbershop look the same.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The same.
Oh yeah, there's some of those guys that are still there right now that look. I mean, I remember I was going to the same barbershop from the time I was probably 14 until, and obviously I started shaving my head around the middle of high school, but like I would grow it out every once in a while, well into my late 20s. And I remember going back probably like 28, 29 years old. And the dude who I thought was like just out of high school cutting my hair looked like he was younger than me all of a sudden. And I was like, like, I knew how old I was, but I was like, how did you not, like, I don't feel like I changed that much in how I look, but you for sure look like I somehow got a couple years past you, and I don't get it.
Probably because he ain't got to worry about shit. He in his own space doing, run stuff, and you ain't got to.
Well, that is definitely, like you said, a thing about the black barbershop where it's like, if that is that world, and that world belongs to those who are in it. And most barbershops are like that. Like a lot of male focused barbershops are like that. But that black barbershop is very much a place where, like, you know, the surveillance is off, right? Like it's like a sensory deprivation tank, where like everywhere else you go in life, you're in contact, right? Everywhere else you go in life, you're in surveillance. And then you go into this one place, you're like, oh, right, this is what it's like where I'm just in my natural state, right? Just say what the fuck ever.
Hey, one more thought real quick before we leave the subject. I took my manager, white dude, I took him to the barbershop with me because I didn't have time to leave him anywhere before I got my haircut before the show. So I walk in, and he walks in behind me. Everybody stop talking. They looking at him.
Hey, man, you gotta announce your white person.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like,
yeah, let him know. You gotta call him up, man. You gotta...
when you walk in the door, you want to say, "Hey, everybody, this is my manager."
I didn't even say, dog. I didn't even say that. When I realized what was happening, because I forgot he was white. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he with me. He cool. And everybody went back to work and shit.
Like, so the first time I went to the barbershop I went to, I had let my hair grow out pretty well just so that like I could at least calm down any potential confusion. Because you can't go in there with your shit already like at a point where there's no curls showing and then have them trust you.
Yeah.
But then even after that, like they were still cautious until they found out I was playing saxophone in high school, and they were like, "Oh, really?" And then we got into a whole jazz conversation. They're like, "All right, you know." After that, it was groovy. Everything was groovy after that. It was...
Just this morning, getting my haircut, I can't remember. We got to talking about politics and some shit like that, and it got real black. Now there's like six people in there. There's one customer that's white. And so I kind of like went around the way of saying something I wanted to say, and everybody, because I usually talk real straight with the cats in there. I'm a regular at this spot, and like they kind of looked at me, and I was like, well, you know, we had company, and the barber that was cutting dude's hair was like, You say whatever the fuck you want to say. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot this our space. Okay.
Yeah.
This will come to our space for
Yeah, this is home turf, right? That's the visitor. That's the guy. We decide whether he leaves or not. That's what's going down.
We may not run shit else in this lousy fucking nation, but we run this little thing.
Right. Once that bell jingles, you in a whole different world, baby.
I was literally thinking this the other day. Like I got all kind of hopes and dreams for my son, like any person would, and like I want him to do like all this cool shit. But if that motherfucker was like nice with the Clippers and he was like, Dad, I want to be a barber, I'd be proud as fuck of that too. Because here's the crazy thing about it: you a barber, you ain't never broke. Like if you're a barber, you nice. You broke because you want to be broke, nigga.
Because you lazy or you got a habit.
Yeah. And if you got a habit, you probably still ain't broke, nigga. I mean, you break it even, probably. You probably cut just enough hair so you can go do that shit.
There's always those cats who are like tremendous at being addicts, but nice at whatever like game they got. Who could sell the guys. I mean, X. I'm sure you know the same. I mean, us. We've also been those guys who have been blitzed out of our mind on a Friday or Saturday night and been up at Monday morning just crushing people on a sales floor. Like I remember a dude who like I worked with this cat and I worked for a small business consulting firm. And this guy was a sales guy, inside sales, and he would call up people and he would be cursing them out about how they need to let a consultant come in there. And he would close these deals for big ass money and it would lead to like bigger sales. This dude would go out and he would call up for the company, like the company car. He knew the number for the company car service because he'd been in tight with the owners. He would go out, he get caught smoking crack. White dude, just out. But like on Monday, he would break records on the daily on sales, bringing in. But I mean, we just had to balance it out. Then people are out there, man.
I think I told you this before. I can't remember if I've ever said it on the show, but the first gig that I had after I was done playing basketball, the financial company, we had a call center, and our call center was full of crackheads. They were all really like there was a handful of. We had like maybe 30 of them motherfuckers, but it was like 5 or 6 dudes that had been with the company the whole time. Like 5 years I was there, they was there. And they all had amazing voices. Like if you didn't see these motherfuckers, you would think they looked like Clark Kent, right? These motherfuckers all looked like homeless people that we showered for the day. and they were cold on it. They were cold with it, and they would hit sales bonuses and stuff like that. And these motherfuckers would just be cracked out of their mind. All the rest of the time.
It happens, man. We get so deluded so easily. Like I'm like right now, I started taking. So I'm in my 40s and I'm trying to work out because like I feel like this is my last shot at trying to get to a 6-pack, right? Like if I can't pull it together right now, right? I'm at home. I found some exercise. I found like programs that are like in a time frame I can deal with and be comfortable with where I'm like sticking with it. I did 12 weeks and I took a week off and I'm back in. I'm finished on my second week now. Like it's something I feel comfortable doing steady, right? It's become a habit. But like I need the results to happen or else we out. So like I ordered some natural shit. I don't want to go down any path of legality issues. So I ordered some legal shit that's supposed to like boost testosterone and shit. And like it's I'm just trying to not delude myself in the last attempt.
Hey man,
because we lie to ourselves all the time about shit, right?
Dude, so you know what? I'm on the same shit. As a matter of fact. If they ever do the stimmy, I'm starting to believe the stimmy. I don't say stimulus check. That shit. It's too many words. It's too many syllables. Right.
That's something we probably ain't gonna see.
Yeah, we ain't gonna see that shit. I'm not spending all that time.
Wait, the stimmy?
The stimmy. If they ever stick us with the stimmy, I'm buying a multi-use workout bench. One of those deals, with the cables and stuff. I'm dumping that motherfucker in the garage and I'm getting a treadmill because that will alleviate every fucking excuse I have for going to the gym and shit like that. Nigga, the gym's downstairs.
There's a certain point though.
I just want to point out that's why they don't want to give you a stimmy because you're too damn lazy to say the whole fucking phrase.
No, they don't want you to get into warrior shape. That's what they don't want to have happen.
Yeah,
they're afraid he gonna come out that basement looking like a real gorilla.
Hey, I remember when motherfuckers,
silver black.
Here's the crazy shit. Motherfuckers think like it's a midlife crisis shit or something like that. Like, oh, he getting old, he wanna catch his youth. It's not that. It's that when I was younger, white people used to cross the street when I started walking down the street. When they saw me walking towards them, they would grab their families. And this is not exaggeration. I'm not even saying this is a joke. Shit really used to happen. I used to see men grab their wife and their kids and move them to the side to get them the fuck away from me, right? And they don't do that shit anymore. People stop and ask me for directions. I hate that shit. I'm approachable. And fuck that shit. I'm finna put some boulders back on these shoulders and get these motherfucking pipes looking like they dangerous again. I like motherfuckers not being comfortable with me all the goddamn time. It's off-putting.
Bro,
I have to stop talking to people way more than I should for a person my size.
As I was deep in my 40s when I started working out, and to my surprise, I was looking tremendous. I'm talking about, man, one day, I noticed my wife started buying me tighter shirts. And I'm like, what is this about? Like, I'm trying to hide this shit. She was like, you ain't got nothing to hide, baby. Let that shit ride. And I knew I was looking good when my mother-in-law was like, don't lose no more weight, baby. You right.
Hey, man, I'm gonna tell you something. I've gotten to know Brother Hines' wife, and I'm gonna let you know right now, man. If y'all ever split up, I'm on her side. She's a better person than you. You fucked up. so
a lot of times people think people are exaggerating when they said. I know when I was a young dude, I'm like, man, these motherfuckers keep kowtowing to their women. But once you've been around a woman long enough, you realize, like, yeah, I have been fucking up. You know what I mean?
And you know how good of a woman Rob's wife is? Rob said some shit to me about, at the time he said it to me, I didn't even have a woman. He said, we need to listen to our women more because they see shit. And he got into this whole, I'm not even gonna get into the whole because I don't want to spoil it. We can use this shit later or whatever. But he got into this whole thing about how women see shit that we don't see. And because they have to, because that's part of who they have to be, because they're constantly under attack and under the visual eyes of men and shit. So they see things that we don't see. So when they tell you something about people, you should probably pay attention. And he said that shit to me. And I think about that shit all the fucking time. And I know that he didn't come up with that shit. He learned that shit because his woman is a cold ass chick. and he realized, oh shit, I should probably be listening to her.
That's how I learned about, I started recognizing a lot of shit because I started hanging out with someone who would point out to me when a guy would approach the two of us and would go without speaking to her. Like we'd be standing, like she and I would be standing together talking and hanging out, and then somebody that knows either me or both of us sometimes would walk up, and it'd be a guy and would like talk completely to me without addressing her at all. Like we'd be standing there and like we turned towards the bar for a second to grab another drink, and she'd be like, "I guess I'll just go fuck myself." I don't know. Like she's standing there looking at it, like waiting. This like she may have even like interjected a point at some point, and he just like guys oftentimes just and so it's made me a lot more perceptive of when I see guys do that, right, with women that I'm around, because you're out somewhere and you see that. I mean, we haven't been out anywhere in forever, but like you see that. But also it's reminded me that like also like make sure you address all the fucking people in a cipher that you walk into of any sort, right? Like don't ever just, if you don't know somebody, introduce yourself. If you do know somebody, like ask them any question to involve everybody, to remember that like it's it's gross.
At minimum look at them in the eye and say, hi, I'm a person, you're a person.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, that is a thing about getting older, is this process of like learning. Well, you think for some people it isn't, but like learning, like, you start realizing, like I remember you start having those moments where you realize that you've been lied to, or you've been lying to yourself. Like I remember when I realized I wasn't going to be playing professional sports anywhere. Right. Like I remember when baseball was out. I remember when I was like, I'm not going to make it as a baseball player. I had gotten glasses and I had to wear goggles and I couldn't see curveballs anymore. And I was like, I'm not getting it. Like, I'm not figuring it out. I can't get, like, it's not happening. My eyes aren't catching up. And by the time I got contacts, it was too late. And then I remember with basketball, I remember when I came home I remember when I realized I wasn't going back to school. And I was like, oh, this is probably gonna be it for playing. For even like, even at some point, I was like, maybe I'll get a shot to play in some bullshit. Like, I would go to whoever, South America, whatever, go to some bullshit league, just even go play pro ball anywhere for $500 a week or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, just to come home and be like, I did it, you know? But then, like, I backed that up with like 4 years of just dealing and doing a bunch of drugs instead. I was like, that's how I realized. I was like, oh yeah, we're done.
After you flipped your first whatever, you was like, yeah.
I just do this. This is
my biopic, nigga.
Actually, you played ball overseas. When was it for you where you're like, that's probably?
Oh, dude, when I had a dream, I didn't think I was gonna play overseas. I won a chance. I got to the camp. I played really good at the camp, and I was like, man, I think I played good enough for these motherfuckers to pick me up. They did, and when I got there, and I realized, like, the people I was playing with, like, they had, in Europe, you can only have 2 foreign players. Usually it's 2 Americans. They had me and a Croatian cat. And the Croatian cat was way better than me. Like, the Croatian cat was just below NBA good. And I was just barely enough to be in Europe good. Right. Like he wasn't trying to make me look bad. He was just like, this motherfucker would throw me no-look passes that would be in my chest before I realized he had let go of the ball. He hit me in my chest like, oh, and it was on point. Like, he never fucked up. It was always me and stuff. So I knew. I want to go to watch the show, watch old episodes. We talk about the whole story like this, but I knew that they were going to cut me before they cut me. I had already called. I think I already called.
You knew how numbers worked. You knew. Yeah, there's X number of contracts. There's X number of us here.
Yeah, and I didn't see the dude, but for some reason I overheard somebody say that they were bringing in a 6'11" nigga, and I'm 6'7", and they were trying to have me guard like 6'10", 7-foot European dudes. You can't guard a 6'11" European dude with a 6'7" dude because the motherfuckers they shoot. They can all shoot. So like I could in the post, I was knocking them up. They couldn't do shit with me in the post. I was Draymond Green in their ass in the post. The motherfuckers just step back to the 3-point line, and I'm like looking at coach. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Take him? Put the nigga in the elbow? Like what? You know?
For me,
I was getting it up.
For me, when I was a kid, I believed everybody because all my old folks was telling me shit that was working even then, right? And so they had me under the impression that it wouldn't be a bad thing to be in the military. Now, dig, when I was in high school, I started to figure out that the rules don't matter to everybody, right? I was on closed campus, and I went to Chicago Vocational. And the teachers send me out. Yeah. And the teachers would send me out to get them lunch. Now we got closed campus. So I'm walking out and this one of the security guards catch me walking towards the door. He like, where you going? I was like, he was like, I'm just messing with you. I know you're going to get lunch. Go ahead. So when I realized, and then I got in the Army, right? And you have to shoot. You got to shoot with a certain proficiency or they're not going to let you actually in the Army. Like you got to recycle. And so a bunch of these cats couldn't shoot, right? So what they did was they strategically placed guys who could shoot next to somebody who couldn't. And they gave that other guy more bullets. So they cheating at the tests. In every one of these military tests, somebody gonna cheat.
Right.
So I started thinking like, damn, I'm good at all this shit. Why I gotta be with these motherfuckers? I need a better job. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking shit. Like they haven't had to cheat for me for nothing.
Right.
And so that's when I was like, it's a lot of bullshit in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It just leaves people. I mean, you brought up the stimmy and how, right now unemployment is crazy. There's people just aren't even looking for work anymore, right? Like they're out of it. Retail sales crashed in November, and this is like it's Christmas time, y'all. It's the wrong time for sales to drop. If it ain't,
I was saying, I can't remember if I said it on the show now, but I was saying previously When they said that they were stretching Black Friday out to all of November as a method to keep people from rushing stores, I was like, nah. They see sales projections and they know that these motherfuckers ain't finna make no sales. And I swear to God, I think I said it in October on the show. Like, it was very obvious. They knew, how the fuck could they expect sales to be good? Nobody has money.
Right.
Like, even people who own businesses and usually do pretty well for themselves, they're probably selling less or making less with very few exceptions. Dude, I had to go see a friend that lived off of 79th the other day, last week. And I drove all the way down 79th to get to 55, right?
Right.
And taking that route, you see a lot of different parts of Chicago and shit like that. I passed like 5 White Castles. I did not know that there were that many White Castles. They all on 79th. All the fucking White Castle franchises on 79th. And the first time in my life that I can remember, and I don't know how long, and this is around, say, 9 o'clock, between 8 and 9 o'clock, almost every one of those White Castles were completely empty. They were open, but there was nobody in line at any of them. I lived in Chicago for the majority of my life.
Not even in the drive-thru?
Nobody was in none of the motherfuckers. I mean, there was people working at the motherfuckers. Nobody was buying White Castle. And I know that seems like a weird thing, but if you're in Chicago, you know White Castle. There's always a fucking line at White Castle. You go at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's 3 or 4 niggas in White Castle. It's always somebody at White Castle, and none of them had any business. And I saw that, and I was like, wow, I mean, there's a downturn. I posted something about, does it really feel like we live in the wealthiest country in the world?
Right.
And one of my friends, I can't remember. I'm sorry if you're watching the show. Shout out to you.
Your friend loves shout out.
Yeah, that's my first one. Yeah.
You're officially part of the show now.
They said basically they work at a grocery store and they are selling ramen like crazy right now. Like ramen is selling at a very high rate. And I'm pretty sure that dude lives in an area that's relatively affluent.
People are worried, man. Like, even if your shit is kind of good right now, like, if you realize that even if you work for a decent company, if there's been, say, one of a couple, there's lower level cuts where like people below you have lost their gig. We're like, well, only so long before some shit can happen. Like, either we start losing at a higher level, or somebody else shows up and they're like, we're the new owners of your shit now. We cut in half of y'all or whatever. Or you recognize that like you work in an industry where the shit you are selling sells right now, but pretty soon people ain't gonna have no money to buy your shit. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like there's a lot of people who are losing money right now or see the writing on the wall of what's potentially about to happen. Right, who are going, well, we better slow this shit down right now. We better not make, I mean, unless you are crushing it on Bitcoin right now, there's probably not a lot of people who are like, that SNL skit where he buys his wife a car. That shit is so real right now.
Dude.
That shit is so real right now.
I had to get an oil change. I had to get an oil change. And I was sitting inside the fucking Honda dealership, and they had the big red bows. I sent Bobby a picture of that shit, man. All I could think of that was that SNL skit, which was it's insane to me. I understand, like, you got to sell your shit. Like, I'm not mad about them trying to sell shit. I get capitalism, and I'm actually pro-capitalism. I'm probably the most pro-capitalist person on the show. But the level of insensitivity that advertisers have with the idea of selling luxury cars in a time where there's 12 million people who don't have work right now.
The idea of luxury cars.
And that's and this motherfuckers luxury cars with a bow on them. With a fucking bow on them, man.
Oh, man, I seen on the news the other day, somebody got a yacht that's like $5 billion and has another yacht in it.
Imagine the soul of someone who has to, like, who knows that there are homeless people, but also is like, but let me get that yacht right quick.
Yeah. The yacht, I think the yacht is 500 million, and that motherfucker it looks like a cruise liner. It looks like Actually, doper than a cruise liner.
How do you not expect to just not be like, that's why the motherfuckers be having private security, because
hey, but dude, I keep
if I was Jeff Bezos, I'd have a bunch of motherfuckers with guns around me too, because I know that any moment somebody could be taking me to a guillotine.
I have some friends who have done
fuck that, bro.
A guillotine, no. This nigga's going into French history on y'all ass.
It's coming. He's right though.
Like, listen, man. So I think one of the so again, this moment where you realize you've been lied to, right? Like, I think one of the big things about the fact that we're still in an argument over a $900 billion stimulus bill is like a lot of people are like, oh, this is what the government feels our value is. Right.
Dude.
Like, this is how that, like, the argument over there are people in Congress right now who are worried about overpaying the U.S. citizenry if we give them $600 one time.
Which is insane.
I mean, I think within the last couple of days, I think that stimulus that we got in the $1,200, if you got it, equates to 451 pennies a day over the last over the time of $4.51 a day.
You can feed an African with the shit that
hey, that's what
that's not even enough for a cup of coffee, goddammit.
That was their reference. They looked at those commercials like, look, if the Africans can do it, Americans can figure this shit out too.
Yeah,
Africans can do it for this price.
Okay.
Americans could probably do it for half of that.
America aspiring to be a third world country.
To me, man, and guys, you can tell me where I'm wrong. But basically, America ain't really gave a fuck about Americans since they never really gave a fuck about most Americans. But America ain't like the rank and file American. They stopped giving a fuck about them when Reagan came in office.
Yeah.
Because what Reagan was exactly what he was trying to do. He told you, trickle down. I'm finna give all the money to these 3, 4, 5 motherfuckers I know, and they'll eventually get the rest of you bitches. You know what I'm saying? They took the tax burden off of corporations and put it on people. Now, who got all the money? The corporate dude. They know exactly what they're doing. If you get, they said it, man. They said it.
Well, also Democrats, when they lost back then, because Democrats used to run the House. They won a bunch of presidencies in a row, and they controlled the House for like 30 years, man, until Newt Gingrich had his little revolution, right? Newt Gingrich rolled over because he appealed to conservative, like religious conservative people. That's when all that religious right shit started popping up, and Democrats started turning towards corporate dollars. That was the same thing that happened, and so
that was the whole point. That was the whole point of Clinton. Clinton wanted to show white people, I keep a foot on these niggas' necks too. And in addition to that, I will make sure you ain't got to pay a lot for it.
Hey man, you know what's weird? You know what's interesting? White supremacists started infiltrating like talk shows and shit like that around the same time. It almost seems like it was an organized plan.
Yeah.
We're gonna get all this shit start happening at the same time. The religious right, white supremacy, and these are the groups that are tied together today. Trying to start a revolution.
I will say probably until the day I die, because it won't be resolved when that happens, that we really undersell how fervent the white people in this country feel about maintaining their, like, whether they are very explicitly open about it or whether it's just in their day-to-day actions.
Yeah.
And like whether they recognize it all the time or not, but like
75 million, Joe.
The overwhelming, resounding thing is that like I was talking to X about this. I listened to this podcast. I was talking because there are issues, you know, the whole thing with Obama shitting on defund the police and all that was a conversation that was going on. And they went back to the 60s when the Civil Rights Act was getting ready to get passed, and they were dealing with that. And there were articles in the New York Times telling people they should just like like civil rights they need to hold off on the riots that are happening that are based on it, and the riots are too much, and it's going to make it so it's going to be harder for people to get their way. These riots, which were just like civil rights uprisings, right? They were just people like, you got to give me equal rights. Which led to shitty actions by police or by white people, which led to a riot, right? Like that's what was happening. And then they went back to just before the Civil War in 1859, and the New York Times was around then. And when they were talking about abolishing slavery, there are a lot of people that were in the North that were just like, if you would just shut up about it, the South will end up figuring it out and will get rid of slavery on their own. And it's the same thing you're getting today, where you get a lot of people who are just like, no, these heinous people who like see you as being not worth anything more than the hours that you can contribute to the machine will someday realize that you're worth the money and give it to you, but they won't. In fact, we've seen how it's had to turn out. You have to literally go to war with people over this shit. And then those people just hold on to it. They just stick with it, and people just buy into it. At least they're like, AOC is the only person calling people out. She's the only person calling people out.
And she better be careful because they're gonna come after her.
She said they asked her about Pelosi and Schumer, and she goes, we need new leadership. She goes, but who the fuck is it gonna be? Because they have created a vacuum. They create a situation where it's like, it'd be great it would be great if Bernie Sanders won the presidency, but guess what? What can he get done when there's a Congress that's not beholden to him? Right? When the rest of Congress is all D's and R's, who's beholden to him? And so like
that's why they went after him so hard. That's why Hillary Clinton. That's why Hillary Clinton said what she said about Bernie, is because she cannot allow him to have credibility.
Right.
She cannot allow people to start thinking, man, maybe we should try to find a way to slice this pie a little better than we slicing it. And so she was like, nobody likes him. We don't get he gets nothing done and all this other stuff because he is not on the same shit that you're on.
Right. If there were 12 more independents, maybe there would be, you know what I mean? Like if there were 12 more independent, like I would like to see, and you're seeing some of that.
Bigger. The squad is getting slightly bigger.
Yeah, Bowman, I think, is a part of that now. He's starting
what's the sister from St. Louis?
Mondo Jones.
She's killing it.
Yeah, she's dope too. Corey Bush. She's at the mayoral level, but still, you're starting to see this.
No, she's in Congress.
Is she in Congress? Oh, she won Congress.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, that's gonna be,
She's a sister that she wore Breonna Taylor. She had a Breonna
and
Taylor.
They thought she was Breonna Taylor.
Coming up to her talking about, hi Breonna, please, it's a pleasure to meet you.
That lets you know how much of a fuck they give a fuck.
Exactly.
That is
exactly because that shit wasn't at like the early part. That was
that was last month.
That was in November. That shit happened.
You would think that at least like okay, so general like social graces for me would be to at least have in my mind like, maybe her name is Breonna, but I'm not gonna fuck up here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because like obviously Breonna Taylor isn't the only Breonna in the world. There's a bunch of Breonnas in the world, right? But like, and this could be another one you may not recognize with the mask on, but considering the history of what had just recently happened and that this woman is visibly Black to you, the idea that she may be here in Washington, D.C.
after having been shot to death in St. Louis, you know what I'm saying? Like, what it always alludes, huh?
Did Trump reference Frederick Douglass like
as he was still alive? Yes, he said he's doing a great job or some shit.
Yeah, Frederick Douglass doing a great job.
And he is, by the way, he is. He is. Every time I reference Frederick Douglass, it's for some good shit. I don't ever bring up Frederick Douglass' dick and nothing like that. Like it's not negative about Frederick Douglass. There's always some good shit, so he is doing a good job.
Not a Frederick Douglass scandal out there.
There's not that I know of.
That's the other thing. That's why you can't get no good people to get in politics. Because everybody that's cool and on your side got side bitches. And as soon as they find out you got a side bitch, they coming at your ass and you got to do what they say or they gonna fuck up your main bitch. So there you go.
I'm hoping
that was horrible. I'm sorry. That was
that world will start changing too. You know what I mean? That world will start changing too. The Moderna vaccine is about to get FDA approval, or maybe getting it right now. I'm not sure where it's at. I know this as of this morning, it was pretty close to getting it. None of us, I think, are on the immediate list for getting this thing at all. In the meantime, the virus is knocking out 3K plus a day. I remember there at least had to be some commissions on some shit the last time that 3,000 people in America were killed in a day on anything, right? Like,
yeah,
of a single purpose. I'm pretty sure that somebody the vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine is out. Pence, I guess, got the first round of his shit this morning, which I think I just want to punch him in the face on that one. I don't know.
So here's the thing.
Can you say that? I don't know if you can say
here's
that.
The thing. This is going to sound, I hate these motherfuckers. I can't wait for them to be out of office. However, leadership should get the goddamn vaccine for two reasons. One, to prove to people in the world that the shit is safe. Like, why the fuck are you not getting it? Like, and also, I believe in the continuity of our government. I don't really want these motherfuckers to die in office. I want these motherfuckers to die trying not to go to jail.
I would like them to die many years from now, proven to be terrible.
Spending the rest of their life trying to prove that they didn't sell the fucking country to Russia.
I think living to be old is way more of a punishment for somebody who did shitty shit than anything else. As an agnostic, as somebody who doesn't know what happens after you die, I think having to live with although watching that old man Koch brother talk about he don't feel bad about another shit he did, even though he was wrong. And on the flip side, I'm like, all right, well, maybe there could be a little bit of a hell.
Dude, I don't think this is the segue. I don't think it was on our run sheet, but one of the Sacklers from Purdue, the farmers, the people who sold OxyContin to white people, no less. They asked her if like she would do anything different, or did she feel bad for what she done? Did she want to apologize and feel bad? And said, knowing what I knew then, did I do anything different? And she was like, nah, I wouldn't do anything different. And there's documented proof that they knew back then that this shit was insanely addictive.
Yeah, do you follow
that they knew?
Do you follow Rex Chapman on Twitter?
Yes, oddly.
You remember who Rex Chapman was? He was a basketball player for Kentucky in the 80s.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Rex
Chapman was what we called every white boy that could shoot at one point.
Yeah. I was checking if Rob was familiar. I know you know. If you have a third host now. So he was this badass white boy who played for Kentucky in the 80s, back when it was the first time. It was Patino was with them back then, and he ended up having to leave through scandal back then. And Chapman was just one of these guys who was just a lights out shooter back before they had guys who shot really like that. You know what I mean? At a guard spot.
Talked like a brother too.
Yeah. And so he had a real brief NBA career. He wasn't that great, and he ended up getting hooked on painkillers, opioids, and I think he was on heroin for a little bit, but he got clean, and he's built up this amazing like Twitter following, and it's all like, you know, great videos, but he's come hard at the right on a lot of shit, and obviously anything dealing with opioids. And he came after the Sackler something fierce over this because he is someone who's affected by it. And that path. Now, you know, obviously we always like to joke that nobody gave a fuck about heroin until white people start getting really fucked up about it, though. So, who knows?
Hey.
But
it ain't no joke. It just happened to be funny, but it's the truth. You know,
it is crazy.
That's part of the reason why they said that's part of the reason why black people didn't get it that much.
Yeah.
Because the white folks was like, "Oh, your pain is fine. Don't worry about it. You'll be good. You're black. You can."
Well, that's a documented thing too about doctors doctors believing black people don't feel pain as much as white people do. That's a real thing.
It's a crazy. I feel like there's like some like strong, like, you have people like the strong black man, strong black woman. I don't know if that stereotype of whatever we're supposed to be carries over with that or what. I mean, I had an experience once with a woman who literally thought all black people could sing. And she was dead serious when she
was a grown adult woman, wasn't she? She was
in college, so she was like 19, but still. She was
old enough to check it out, though, to do a little research or have some kind of.
I'm not that old. Google had been invented.
She should have Googled the shit.
It may have been called Netscape or some shit back then. She may have had to.
Jeeves.
Yeah, she had to ask Jeeves.
Ask
She
Jeeves.
asked Jeeves.
No, Google's 1998. Google would have been invented.
Yeah, but every time you search something, it didn't know it. Back then, every time you look something,
She was 19. I wasn't 19. Google was around. That was a few weeks ago. Goddamn it!
he was 19. I was 19.
But yeah. Like so, like motherfucker. And this was a very intelligent person. Like this was a person who did very well in college. So
well, the way I see it is this, and you know, if somebody gonna call me a racist, they just gonna have to do it. Here's the thing: when you dump on a given people for 400 years, some shit changes in them people. Now, you didn't just go
both of them
anybody.
people.
Right. Well, what did you say?
In both. And
right.
Everybody's
exactly,
a little different, right? Like the people who've been doing the dumping feel differently about who they are, and who the other people are. And the people who've been dumped on have a different feeling about who they are, and who these people are, right? Like it goes both ways.
Absolutely. And because you got so used to dumping on them, you see them as a toilet. Exactly.
You don't even realize you're dumping on them.
Right.
Oh
even more than that, check this out. When they went out shopping for people to dump on, they had a couple of that was like Negro 1.0 at one point. That shit didn't work out. Then they tried a new group. Then they tried to do it to white folks. And then white folks like, nah, man, this shit ain't working out for us. Y'all got to find somebody else.
They tried to move Americans.
They were like, nah. They was like, these motherfuckers is working out really well. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that would lend yourself to being something special about you. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, you know, when it comes to something like this, when it comes to something like the virus and getting the vaccine, it's like, in my mind, it's like, because X, you were there. We've realized through your Facebook post last couple of days, there are still a bunch of hotep ass black people that are unsure about that are worried about taking it. Listen, man, if they gave it to a white Englishman named William Shakespeare, then I will take it, because they ain't giving that motherfucker some shit they would give to me. You know what I mean? Like, if they're gonna give it to him, they want that motherfucker to make it. Okay, everything is invested in a white guy named William Shakespeare surviving. So I will have what he's having.
I agree with you 100%, Bobby. But we are speaking from the perspective of people who were born after 1970. Having said that, you might just give that motherfucker the real shit. See my black ass coming and get it for niggas. You know?
Hey man, I was thinking about the level of deception, the level of motherfuckers that would have to be. Now I understand 75 million people voted for Trump, but all these motherfuckers, all 75 million of these motherfuckers would have to be in on it, because nobody knows. Like CVS doesn't know which CVS I'm showing up to. Right?
Here's why they don't know. They have that ready for that. They're covered. They have a stock of the white people kind and a stock of the black people kind.
See me in the drive-thru. So what you're saying is this bitch gonna see me in the drive-thru. She's gonna be like, "Oh, he gets the colored folk kind," and gonna be overly bothered.
Look, and the next thing you know, you got syphilis.
Well, it's designed, you know, obviously there are genetic differences between, so you know what I mean? I still gotta break it down and be like, well, we found that this has less of side effects for people who have African American blood. But that's gonna be the shit. That's how we're gonna have the superpowers on the 21st.
Like, hey, I am ready to believe some crazy shit about white people as much as the next black man, but I don't believe all 75 million of them are gonna be murderers. Like they all ain't just gonna be down like, wait, we're gonna kill them all? Like, some of them gonna object to that. Now, I don't think all of them motherfuckers gonna see us dead.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man.
I don't know. James got quiet. Wait,
I got some. I got some white in me, which means I've gotten some extra access. I don't know. You know, 75 million might roll with the.
Oh wow, that's the real number. That's the real.
I feel like they would kill as many as they would need to, and then just subject the rest, right? Like I
feel like Jay Webb. I feel like Jay Webb would go out and buy some white people stuff for black people and be dishing it off. You know what I'm saying? Like, good shit right here, homie.
I honestly feel like there are probably I think we underestimate like the number of white people in this country who, if they could reinstate slavery right now, they would. And that seems like heinous, but like
they had to.
I'll be honest, like if they literally went, if they pulled back to segregation again and further Jim Crow or whatever, I think there'd be a lot of white people be very much opposed to it. But if somehow like some southern states wrangled a way to make that happen, I'll be honest, I think there's a lot of people that be like, there'd be a lot of people like, well, I guess there's nothing we could do. I guess we just fucking.
Buddy, you're spending way too much time explaining that. We just saw them 75 billion people are okay with locking up kids and snatching kids from their family. If they were okay with that, they're definitely going to be okay with all the shit you said.
Listen. I'm going to tell you why that will never happen. I'm going to tell you why I'm confident that will never happen. Because in order to be free in a capitalist society, you need money. Now, who are the motherfuckers that could do everything? It's going to be the same people you used to make work for free. So if you let all them get together and make their own little economies, every 4 years, you're going to have to go in there and blow all that shit up again. Like you did when you was doing it before. So they ain't going to never let you just be. But what would happen to the NFL if that happened?
Frozen.
No, I'm not. I'm waiting for you to answer me.
That wasn't to me. I thought that was open. Discussion.
Yeah, that was open. I'm saying they cannot, dude. This shit wouldn't be here if they didn't have the 400-year head start.
Yeah,
do you
of course.
think they're gonna let the horses go that lead the way?
Yeah, it's just a consistent maneuver to a new thing, right? It's a constant maneuver to like the new. It's just like the Lee Atwater with the Southern Strategy sheet. We can't say nigga anymore, so now you gotta say disparities in this. You gotta say public health. You gotta say entitlements. You can't say welfare. You gotta say entitlements. It's always this like moving of the goalpost to try and make to maintain that order of the pressure. Well, that's the whole thing behind trying to continue to paint the other, to paint people as the other to a group of white people who also ain't got shit. Right? To be like, I ain't got shit, but at least I'm not the other. And I have to defend the shit I don't got from this other, from being able to take it from my master. Right? That's the whole reason why if you're a cop and you're gonna go stand in front of a store to make sure they don't break down into a Hermes store or whatever the fuck he's trying to get into, right? Like you are literally saying, I make a cop salary of 50 to 60 grand or whatever the fuck. And that is enough for me to lay my life on the line in favor of Hermes instead of these people who are being shit on. Like that is literally the angle that's a lot of self-delusion. You know what I mean? Like you have made a decision that like anytime you see one of the people like, well, I just don't know why they got to burn down a building. They killing niggas, dog. They killing niggas. I don't know what you would tell you.
Like I don't give a fuck about the Apple Store. I don't give a fuck about. I keep forgetting the name of the bracelet store that they robbed in my town.
Tiffany, they robbed Tiffany store or some shit.
No, it's the one that has all the like the little things that you
get. Pandora bracelet.
Yeah. Apparently,
hay or some shit.
Apparently, those little charms are expensive as fuck.
Christ.
And that was the first store they hit in Naperville, Illinois. Was the Pandora shop.
In the meantime, Trump has been hiding out and tweeting from his basement, even though the Russians hacked everything. Like that's a serious thing, man. The Russians hacked everything, right? They got in on some shit on the tech. Yeah, they've been in it for months. Somebody said it was like if you realize that your home got robbed, but the burglar's been chilling in your crib for like weeks.
He been living in your basement the whole time.
They walking around watching you take a shower and shit.
And one day you're just like, God damn, the TV is gone. Yeah, we've been here, dog. We've been here the whole time. We just.
By the way, you out of toilet paper in the basement.
I think there's I think one of the weird things or the things that we get mistaken for is like, especially now, the way that this shit goes down is like, it's not like the hack is just the part that gets them all the information. Right. Then it's like, well, what the fuck happens with the information? Well, who the fuck knows, man? Who knows whether that's like the determiner of what happens in my Facebook feed for the next 6 months? Who knows if that's who's calling me, trying to like these numbers I don't recognize that call my phone sometimes? Who knows if it's from that? I mean, who knows what any of it is, right? The follows I get on social media, some of them look sketchy as fuck. Who knows what the fuck that's coming from? Yeah. And like, and I don't mean like me or that like that happens so much to me, but in general, I'm assuming I get some of that shit. So I'm assuming some people get a boatload of that shit, right? Like, so it's not just about the fact that they were in there to get, and a lot of that information is like diplomat information. It's like people who have like, I ain't shit. It's people who got like real fucking government level jobs that they will then down the road slip whatever they're trying to slip to them in whatever way, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a problem. I don't know. Probably something we should do something about. We're so busy. There's so many people still worried about whether this dude's still going to win the election.
Man, this is what I want to say. This is the shit that show how lame and fucked up he is. If he was actually doing his fucking job, he could have spun it that Russia did something because they hacked us. He like CNC. I told you, motherfuckers, I wasn't lying. Blah blah blah. It was the election was hacked. Nothing was real. And then he'd have a base. He'd have something, but he's so self-involved and so scared of Daddy Putin, he can't do shit.
I agree with half of that. I agree with the Daddy Putin part, but the other part, he don't. How many more lies does he have to tell before you realize it's really not about him or the truth? It's actually about keeping Black people in a space that you can control them. Now,
I'm just saying it's a smarter lie.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about his motivation.
Why would you give the effort? Wait. Why would you give the effort when you don't have to? You got a whole lot of government shit to steal. I can't give any brain power to whether or not they gonna believe me. They gonna believe me. I'm too busy stealing shit and giving people parts. I can't have all that shit.
I think what I see that came out today that he had. The money he gave to $700 million he gave to Laura Trump's company. He gave it was some ridiculous amount of money.
Hey,
that he handed over to
they
her.
had a chick that was over his inaugural, and they was trying to make it seem like she was stealing money. No, they were stealing the money, and they expected her to go to jail for it.
Laura Trump
the missus.
Laura Trump served on the board of a company through which the Trump political operation spent more than $700 million.
Wow. These motherfuckers is so bad at the grift, man.
It's so obvious, man.
I would beg to differ. I would beg to differ. Do you got $700 million? No, they are very good at the grift. They are excellent at this.
This is true. He got all the way to the presidency on this grift. This has been an amazing. If you're a fan of the grift, this is amazing.
Yeah, this motherfucker just, you're right. I'm just saying, he's so blatant. He's so blatant, and oh god,
you know what's fucked up though?
How blatant he is.
So like he switched his residency down to Florida, right? He moved down to New York, so he went to move down to Mar-a-Lago, but because of this thing he did to try and dodge taxes. He signed a deal and agreed that no guest would stay in the guest houses for more than 21 days and no more than 6 days at a time, and that he would never make it his residence. And so essentially this dude is homeless when he goes out of office.
They don't want your ass down here.
To get it to reclassify it as because he had to classify it as a residence, so to get it classified as an actual like property, as a business property, he had to agree to all these like living arrangement rules, right? So like now he's in a spot where he is for sure about to have to figure out somewhere to go.
Hey, what if the whole I won the election shit was just him trying to extend his term because he don't have any place to live.
They ain't got a place to go.
This motherfucker has nothing to do with this motherfucker trying to win the election, anything like that. He just realized that, hey, oh fuck.
I'm
trying to figure out how to use Zillow.
6 days in Mar-a-Lago. I need to extend this shit a little bit longer so I can figure out something. I was just hustle the whole time.
and I can't dare go back to New York. They'll kill my ass.
Ivanka, teach me how Zillow works. Do they still do apartments on Craigslist? Is that a thing we can find? Is there? Could you imagine?
Melania English get real bad when you start talking about what he can't afford anymore.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine Trump going to check out an apartment on Craigslist, just like showing up at somebody's house?
Dude, that's so funny because
that's three-story walk up. Just
man, that just
look, a raccoon.
When you mention his wife, it just reminded me of that whole immigration thing.
Oh God!
Like everything about Trump is exactly what he's always crying about. Like he got an anchor baby. He let his mother-in-law family in and shit. Like close the door after them. Come on in.
Yeah.
Everything he complained about, he got in his life, and it's okay. It's just like, at what point do y'all realize that you have been deceived?
Yeah.
When you don't care, and that's what motivates you,
Somebody else who I think has been deceived, but actually did some cool shit this past week. Tom Cruise is on the set of Mission Impossible 7.
Yeah.
And, it's one of the few things that have been out filming. The film industry's trying to work its way back in. There's been a bunch of places that have been like shut down. I think The Rookie just recently shut down production after they had a bunch of people. They had like 19 positive tests or something. That's a lot, right? So like Cruise, apparently his audio came out of Tom Cruise, who caught some people working on the film that were like closer than they were supposed to be, and went off for like, I think the audio I had was like 45 seconds or something like that.
It's 3 minutes. The full
3 minutes. Oh yeah. The full one's 3 minutes long, right? And I don't know, man. I loved it. I was like, first of all, he's in Ethan Hunt mode, right? Like this man is in Ethan Hunt mode. He gets in that mode where like he once he starts filming this shit, Tom Cruise is one of those guys who's like, he thinks he's Ethan Hunt all the time. Probably that nigga. Yeah, he's done so many Mission Impossibles. That man is Ethan Hunt.
Hanging on the outside of an actual motherfucking plane. He for 100% believes he's Ethan Hunt.
He did a stunt this time with NASA. He's involved with NASA or SpaceX on these. He's doing this. He flew into outer space with NASA on some shit, man. Like,
damn boy, it must be nice to be white and good looking.
But he's also kind of like a studio head, man. Like he is a full-in partner in a lot of, I think, Paramount shit. And so he is tied in deep with them. And so like, I thought it was actually refreshing. I know people who got some bosses that don't give a fuck about mass properly. And every day they have to go there and be tense under the situation where they got to keep reminding people who are kind of laughing at them. I thought it was great. I don't know what y'all thought about it.
I saw multiple people say this, so I don't want to act like I'm the originator of this thought. You can tell when you listen to it, this is not the first time he said some shit.
No.
Like he says multiple times, like he alludes to the idea that, look, I've been trying to work with you motherfuckers on this shit. I've been trying to be cool about this shit. Y'all not gonna let me.
Right.
I was trying to be cool about it, but y'all not gonna let me, so I'm gonna be that guy.
Right. Yeah.
And whoever recorded that and leaked it, you know what? Fuck you. Like,
I know.
Unless they were unless it was like they were like, hey, he's being a badass. But
it's a good turn to me. I think it's a nice thing.
I think initially, hey man, wow. A lot of people have said they're surprised that someone of his I don't know, their religion is that considered
Scientology is a religion. They're tax exempt, so sure.
Okay. Somebody of his religion that he would lose it like that. Apparently that is kind of against what they like, don't lose their temper like that. I don't know.
His statins were high. Statins were high. He was dealing with a very suppressive person, and he wanted to make sure that he kept the SPs out of his life. He probably asked them if they want to go do an e-reading later on, and he'd probably try and exercise some of the statins and get them to another level of clear.
I am not okay with how comfortable you are with this, how fluidly you just did that. I feel like you just reset in front of us or some shit like that.
It's just two real
program is just kicked in on Bobby. You've been double agent the whole time.
Two real quick things. One, out here you see Scientology every fucking where. That's a lot of shit out here. So when he started talking about it, I was visualizing everything he was saying, because My wife is nosy, and we went in there one time because she wanted to see what was in there.
You be on that mailing
They was
list
trying their
forever.
best to recruit us. I'm like, hell no, I ain't giving you shit. I don't want to take a class from you. Fuck you. But the other thing is that the thing about Tom Cruise's shit is that actually, man, to me, if I'm making my money like this, and this is America, then don't fuck this up. You understand? And the other thing is that
I mean, that's
people
$100+ million budget. That's a $200 million budget probably on that movie.
And I am responsible not only for all of y'all, but I'm responsible for the bread that's going in your pockets. And he said as much. Right?
When he said people's college educations and shit, I was like, right on, man. You gonna cost people their fucking futures right now.
And too many people out here are way too soft. Like they're not into. You can never have a disagreement. Like we all three of us, we are cool as hell, but we have disagreed to the point we was yelling at each other and stuff, and nobody was scared or nothing. It's just the way we are. We are passionate about the shit we talking about. And out here, they take it as confrontation immediately. They are instantly afraid.
Yep. Yeah. There was a show that Matt LeBlanc was on. God, what was it? It was an
auto show?
No, it was a show that was on HBO. It was on Showtime, I think.
Oh, extras? Not extras.
Was that the name of that show? God damn.
Show. It was like you sitcom star or something.
Episodes. That was it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
There's a way that the way that the executives talk in that show episodes is exactly how they are in LA, where they just dance around the topic. Or like they'll never tell you they're angry unless they get to a boiling point. It's got to take so far to get them there. It's wild. Couple last things I wanted to talk about before we get out of here. The Negro leagues are being added to the major leagues when it comes to statistics. There were, I think, 7 different leagues, Negro leagues, that they're going to go back through, and they're going to add. They haven't figured out how they're going to merge it all yet. They're going through everything with a fine-tooth comb. But like one of the things for sure, I think Josh Gibson hit 441 one year, which means that's going to be the new highest batting average ever. And also he purportedly hit over 800 home runs. They got to go and check and see exactly how that was. But they said apparently there's not going to be a lot of records that are going to get changed because they only played 100-game seasons versus 150. But I just think it's great to see credit finally being given, in a sport that
whenever I think about how good the Negro League players were, there was a story my grandfather told me about the Negro League playing the MLB All-Stars. And Satchel Paige was supposed to be the starting pitcher, and he showed up late. He showed up like the 3rd inning or some shit like that. And it was apparently had been drinking. He like showed up with 2 women. And everybody was mad and shit.
So, X, are you related to Satchel?
My grandfather would say, "Let me tell you about your uncle. So your great uncle Seth."
But one of the things that's definitely going to happen is
wait. They got this. This is in them. Sorry, he showed up late, 3rd inning, and to calm everybody down, he told the outfield and infielders to sit down, and he struck out the side of the Major League All-Stars. Like told these motherfuckers, like, hey, don't worry about it, I'm good. And he struck these motherfuckers out. And the crazy shit is, my grandfather told me that shit when I was little, and I half-ass believed it. Then I'm watching like a history thing on Comiskey Park, because the shit happened at Comiskey. It was they played at Comiskey, and they tell the fucking story. It happened. That's how good these motherfuckers were.
Kind of sitting in the field where there's a ball that might be hit at you at the speed the baseball is coming, people, I'd be like, nah, I'm gonna be at least prepared, nigga. I ain't gotta leave myself on I'm not where am I sit crisscross applesauce while you just pepper the motherfucker with a fastball? Nah, man, that's it. Not gonna have me all fucked up here at shortstop.
He said crisscross applesauce. Here's the thing, man. Man,
and that's Jimmy White Shoes Johnson was he was sitting crisscross applesauce. He couldn't react in time. He just couldn't react in time. It was absurd when you think about it.
Like, we gotta make you a wide receiver, man. The last thing I want to get into, there is a game that is out across a couple of different systems called Cyberpunk. It is intended for high-powered systems. The new PS5 is out. The Xbox S and what is the Xbox S and X series? Those are the new ones.
Series
If
X,
you have a strong enough PC, it's probably built for that. There are a lot of people who bought this. It is. I mean, you can play it on the current version of Xbox and the PS4, but it doesn't work well on that, as evidenced by the fact that there are a lot of bugs that people are complaining about. The people who owns Cyberpunk, James, who is that? You know,
CD Projekt Red, the guys who made The Witcher. Made Cyberpunk.
So they've first of all, it's been taken out of the Sony PlayStation Store, so you can't even get it right now. If you're on there, you can't download it. But two, they offered up a refund to anybody who wants it, which I like James's idea, which is like, all right, well now y'all got to shut the fuck up, all right? Like,
100%. If they offer your money back, you can't bitch. Like, you got a chance to play. I wish fucking EA or 2K would offer me my money back on one of their shitty lineups. Like, sometimes so many games that come out and they're the exact same game that you had last year with fucking new lineups. Like, I wish I could get a fucking money back.
You get home, you're like, all right, well, this shit is instantly worth half as much at GameStop right now. Like,
that's like one of the number one things. That's why I have such a narrow video game of what I play, because I like what I like, and I am so afraid to buy some shit and it be horrible and I just wasted $70. I just wasted $70 on some bullshit.
I got tired of playing them when I kept having to buy one every year. I'm like, this is like the automobile model used to be. I didn't keep buying this shit every year. Fuck that.
Then it got it worse. It's worse now, Rob. Not only do you buy one every year, these motherfuckers got shit within the game that you got to buy
DLC.
To get the game to be as good as you want the game to be.
Sometimes it's to get the game to be as good as you want it to be. Sometimes it's like in Fortnite, which I just put up in the back. Sometimes just cosmetic shit where it's like, well, if you like a different look of your character, you can buy shit that looks different, but it doesn't make you any better. You still on your own, for goodness. I will say this about games like Fortnite or PUBG or whatever else that's out there. What's the other one?
Apex.
Apex is that they are consistently working on the game. So like, instead of having to buy a new game, like the game Fortnite's a free download. You can download for free. And then, so like, one, I'm more comfortable if I decide I want to buy some shit in it, because I'm like, why do I have to pay for this motherfucker? This is what's $10? Fuck it, I'll pay $10. $10 a month, sure. Even if we're a year, like that's a couple games worth of shit I got, and I got all this shit, right?
I know, but it's such a better hustle.
It's a smart hustle, man.
Dude, just think about this shit. That shit used to be, we bought one game and you had that game for like 7 months at least. Before you even thought about trying to get another game, you were playing the hell out of that one game because it probably took you that long to beat it or whatever. And maybe if you're like a kid that spent a lot of games or something, maybe you had multiple games or whatever, but still, it wasn't like now, not only are the games more expensive, but you have to buy shit. Even to NBA 2K, when my son first started playing, I bought enough coins on the game to elevate his player to like 98 for Christmas.
It's a sick gift, dude.
Yeah. It was like 400,000 coins to fucking get his player to go. I think in 98 it was like 94 or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And
that's the shit I don't want to do. I like buying shit because it's gonna make my shit look cool to me. Yeah. And then that's when I go, like, that's what I like about.
He can do that too. Like, he can buy special Jordans for him when they walk around the park and shit like that.
When I was a child and they bought video games, first they didn't even have accessories. And it did what it did. It didn't do much, but what it did it, and you owned it, and it was over. Right.
I too am old enough to remember having Pong.
Yeah. ColecoVision, baby, and television. The controller that had the little dial on the front.
Yes. And we were geeked about that shit, dude. That shit.
Only the richest kid had a super action joystick. Not everybody could get that shit.
My mom's company used to have like raffles where they gave her a Commodore computer, a Commodore 64, and that game was on it. And like I had friends waiting outside because my mom would only let a couple of men at a time come in and play the shit. Like that's how exciting the shit was. That's
hilarious.
Pac-Man.
So what I'm saying to you is, if I got to buy a cartridge, okay, I'll buy the cartridge. But at the time I was a kid, it was only like 50 of them out there, right? You could build up to 50 and you would be coldest kid on the block. Now you can't never buy all this shit and it come out every year.
Thank goodness.
Dude, you don't even get a cartridge no more and shit. You just download the shit. You press a button.
Yeah, man. You press. That's the part that's fucked up.
Even when you download the game, you got to pay for every time you download it for every. You know what I mean? Like when I used to play a lot of John Madden football, and then after a while, I'm like, God damn, I gotta get one every year because if I want to play with the guys I play with, they keep getting a new one. We was cool in '97. We don't need no more.
The '97 games still work.
It's good.
Let me tell you something. I was playing 2K19, which came out in 18 until last month. I skipped 2 years of that shit because they didn't change the game. The only reason why I got this new version is because the new version upgrades to the newer version of Xbox, and when the price drops in the spring, I'm probably gonna get one. So,
smart adult black man. On that note, we're gonna get on out of here. Hey, Rob, how can people find you on social media, baby?
Robert L. Hines, whatever it is on Twitter. Robert L. Hines on Twitter.
Robert L. Hines 1, right? Aren't you Robert L.
Yeah,
Hines
Robert L.
1?
Hines 1 on Twitter. Thank you, Bobby. I'm horrible at this. And
Original Jones BBQ on TikTok is there. I got everybody's shit. XL Comedy, go to at XL Comedy, XL Comedy Show, everybody. Find me at Mocha_Jesus on Twitter and Instagram. Find the pod at New OGs Pod. Get over to People of Comedy. Check out all the shit they got over there. And if you don't got a good enough rig, don't get Cyberpunk. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Have a good day. That's what's up.
Why you so mad that I can't feel you on my schedule? Why you jealous? Thought you knew that I would never fold. So many doubted, fuck them all. Now they gon' have to pay our tickets, sell our shows before we hit the road.